What's up everybody? It's time for another LEGO Legacy Heroes Unboxed video. Today we're taking a look at this brand new pack they just stuck into the bundles. Spooky Girl Bundle. Spooky Girl Bundle. Yeah, Spooky Girl Bundle. This is the amount of effort Gameloft is putting in this week. Is they didn't even bother changing the name of the pack from Spooky Girl Bundle, which is what they used for the last one. They just changed. I really hope that they're actually giving Chicken Suit Guy if people buy the bundle. If not, and they still giving out the Spooky Girl accidentally, then they're gonna have a big mess on their hands. But yeah, they put the new picture in. They didn't change any of the text. Spooky Girl Bundle, guest star with a 3-star Spooky Girl. It's supposed to be Chicken Suit Guy, obviously, of course. But we're gonna take a look at Chicken Suit Guy. We're gonna really talk about like if he's good or not, or should you invest in him, etc., etc. The thing to note though is that with a lot of these packs, if we see right next to where it says $9.99, $2.99, $9.99, $9.99, there's a lot more nines than anyway. Everything says 1 out of 1, right? 1 out of 1 costs real money. 1 out of 1, 1 out of 1 available. With Spooky Girl Bundle, Chicken Suit Guy, it says 5 out of 5. So, is that also just a typo, or is he actually available to get 5 of him at 50 pieces each to actually get a total of 250 Chicken Suit Guy pieces for $50, but it's 250 pieces, which means you're going to be able to star level him up a few more levels. Might even be able to get, some people might even be able to get him up to 7 stars, depending on how much upgraded you have him already. Also, he's a farmable unit, so he may be your strongest unit at that point. But before you go and spend $50 on Chicken Suit Guy, aka Spooky Girl apparently this week, let's take a look at him. Let's see what we think about him, and let's talk about why he is not quite a meta unit. Oh, Bagel already spoiled it. He's really not something that you want to invest the $50 into. In my opinion, and in a lot of other people's opinions now, a lot of higher level players' opinions. Now, if you're early game, new to the game, you're like, oh, but I love Chicken Suit Guy. He's so good. I don't know what you're talking about. He does an AoE. He does big damage. He's my favorite DPS unit. And while that's great for like campaign missions early game, because he actually was one of my favorite units early game too, because I was like, oh, this ult is so great. I got him up to gear level 6. I was so excited to play around with him. He was doing great for me, but there's a couple things to take into factor when you kind of think about like how much value you're going to get out of him in the long run. So first, here we go is, let's take a look at this. Is favorable in his advantage. Damage multipliers. Okay, so when we take a look at his skills, we got to kind of take a look at his skills in comparison to other DPS units, right? Okay, how much damage does this do? First skill, he's a DPS unit, of course. 120 damage, first skill. Second skill is 65 damage, 65% damage to everyone, right? Third skill is 130% damage. This is just a passive. And then the fourth skill is 140 damage, but it's an AoE, right? So it's significantly more damage than this Wings of Fury. So you take that in comparison to other DPS units, like let's say Firefighter Ash. So Firefighter Ash she's got 100% damage over here, so he does more percentage-wise. She does 125% damage to target foes, 60% damage to all other foes, so she does a little bit more damage on that second one that he does, right? This third skill is a single target, so it does 170% damage and 20% extra damage for each stack of Courage and Ash. That's, you know, big. It's more single target damage than he does, and then she also stacks her Courage as well. But she doesn't have an AoE, for example, right? So there's a lot of other AoE units, but a lot of the AoE units are support units, so it's really hard to like kind of gauge the AoE ults. But generally, like his damage multipliers are a little bit less than some other things. His first skill is 120. There's other stuff. Like, let's take a look at him versus Highwayman. Highwayman is another meta DPS unit, 120% damage. Debilitate, this is not a DPS skill. This is 120% damage here, plus 30% bonus damage. So, in comparison to Chicken Suit Guy, I mean, he does have this AoE ult though. But then that brings me to another point. Like, the damage multipliers aren't like super terrible, right? And that's why a lot of people are like, oh, you know, he's not too bad. right? The damage multipliers could be better, especially like with this skill too. We saw that the Firefighter Ash is just better because she does a little bit more damage onto the one target unit, and then she does the splash damage as well. And Dizzy's not really like the craziest debuff, right? Because Dizzy like stops you from counterattacking and increasing pep and things like that. And it's like, okay, there's better debuffs though, but at least you got that. The which is the nice one that he does though. He does this clumsy is actually, I kind of like this clumsy though, because that makes the enemies miss their next turn. So that's not bad, but again, it is the ult. So damage multipliers aren't bad. Let's take a look at the next thing, which is base stats. Okay, so this is kind of where he's got a big difference, right? So let's take a look at, mine is 3-starred. He is, actually he's level 36. That's actually going to make a difference too. Highwayman is 42. You know, can I upgrade him at least a 40? Let me level him up to at least a little, like level 40, right? Give him a little bit more of a. Yikes, that's a lot. That's a lot of investment. Okay, well, it's not quite a. It's not quite a great example because he's only level 36. However, he is gear level 6. He's 3-starred gear level 6, level 30. Where is he? 36. And the Highwayman is level 5, gear level 5, so 1 gear level less. Also 3-star. Level 42 though. Highwayman has, if we go take a look at stats, 1556 attack. And we go take a look at Chicken Suit Guy. Chicken Suit Guy is 939 attack. Now we can see how much it actually upgrades per level. Let's upgrade him like 1 level at least. Let's kind of see. 939 goes up to 953. So those extra, I mean, it is going to make a little bit of a difference, right? Those extra few levels are going to give him, let's say for example, maybe 1050. But that's still a significant, like even if he's like 1050 attack, there's still a significant difference between him and Highwayman, right? Highwayman is a. I'm just comparing these two because they're both 3-star units. So the base stats definitely play a role in things, and from what other people, higher level beta players have said as well, is that he really falls off. Like, the more you upgrade him to higher star levels, the less he actually gets out of those upgrades, the less his stats improve than other units. So that's not really something that I personally noticed, but that's something that other players have noticed that have been playing longer than I have. So I wanted to definitely include that and mention that. The next thing that I want to mention, let me get back to Chicken Boy, because that's who we talking about today. Chicken Boy, remember it's $50, right? So again, I loved him when I first started the game too. I was like, oh my god, you had to like pry me away from using him. I'm like, I want to still use him though. Why shouldn't he's like gear level 6? I'm like, I really want to use him more. But just the more you upgrade him at higher levels, the less valuable you actually get out of the less value you get out of those upgrades. So the next thing I want to point out is the current meta. So the current meta right now. Actually, the next two things I want to point out is current meta and factions. Current meta and factions. Current meta is basically, think about him, he's an AoE DPS unit, right? So the current meta is a lot of tanks, tank, passives, things like Jester, things like the whole castle trio meta. Now, he's got the AoE. He's got 2 AoEs, actually, which is why AoEs aren't really super meta right now. I mean, AoEs are great, but there's not. AoEs can potentially be really strong, especially against like the stealth team, if it's the right AoEs, and we're just not really seeing those right AoEs in the units that we have just yet, so we don't see quite those combos. Potentially AoEs can be very strong, though, against Ninjago teams in the future, depending on what they release in the future. But he's got, okay, so Chicken Suit Guy has 2 AoEs, right? So 2 AoEs against something like Jester Go-Go, which is extremely meta right now. Like, extremely meta. One of the most popular units basically in the game. Whenever Go-Go takes damage, he has a 50% chance to heal the hero with the lowest health for 20% of Go-Go's max health. If Go-Go has Taunt when he takes damage, he has a 50% bonus chance and 15% bonus heal. So something like this is kind of an AoE counter. Plus, he's got Provoke, which means he's gonna, provoke and you're gonna do damage to him regardless. But just the fact that this is an AoE counter, every time Chicken Suit Guy AoEs, he's not really doing a crazy amount of damage, unless you're early game, and it feels like he's doing a crazy amount of damage. But the further you go into the game, the less damage he kind of does. And things like Jester are just gonna heal, like, oh well, you did damage to me, I'm gonna heal that up, right? So there's different passives like that kind of make him not as relevant in the current meta, and that's why he's not really. That's why you really don't see too many people using Chicken Sugai higher levels. You see everyone at lower levels using him, but things change. The more you progress, the more you actually encounter meta, the more things change. And he's not bad in campaign stuff, especially for like wave clearing, but yeah, the more you go through campaign, the more you need like support, sustain, and things that have good synergy together, instead of just like a unit that doesn't really, like, he just does AoE damage, right? So there's that. And then we have the last one, which I already mentioned, is factions. So talking about factions, let's take a look at what he is. Like, again, I was talking about the current factions right now that are strong. There's Castle has the big Castle trio, which is very strong. Chicken Sugai is Explorer, which, Explorers flip a coin, 1 out of 2 units is going to be Explorer. Attacker, collectible, costumed. So there's really not a lot of costume synergy. There's really not a lot of collectible synergy going on right now. There's a lot of synergy for like Pirate synergy, Castle synergy, Ninjago synergy. So those are currently the big synergies. This may change in the future, but he would also need a little bit more in his kit. Like, I don't mean more skills or anything, but he would like need more debuffs or something else to be more valuable in the future. But he's more just an early game unit, really. The game gives you him early as like a cool, fun early game like thing to help you get you through campaign. But he's not really a thing that you want to invest in long term, because he's really not one of the meta factions. I don't know, meta things. He's just, for many reasons. That's all I'm trying to say. Is he's not meta for a reason. He falls off end game, and that's Chicken Sugai. As much as I know people want to be so excited to get him and build him because he seems so great at the beginning, but he really falls off. End game because of those few regions. I mean, his multipliers aren't as bad as the other stuff, and he does have an AOE, but there's just and I do like the clumsy. That AOE is so nice though. But yeah, he falls off for a few reasons. Anyway, that's it for this one. I just wanted to talk about it since he's kind of in the shop, right? We got the good old spooky girl bundle. Anyway, that's it for this one. I talked way too much. I was like, I want to say more things, but I'm kind of confused at what I want to say. I'm like, that's, you know what, Bailey, you talked enough. Anyway, that's it for this one. Hopefully it helps you guys to decide if you want to get him or not. I wouldn't recommend it. I would say just wait for something like really cool to come out. There's gonna be something cool one day. There's gonna be one just save for the must-buy thing, where it's like, oh my god, it's like some new, maybe the next Ninjago units they put out, they'll have some crazy like Ninjago pack, like, oh my god, get all the Ninjago, like, get 30 pieces of every Ninjago unit, like, okay, where's my credit card? Let me get that right now. But anyway, hope you guys enjoyed it. That's it for this one. I will see you as always in the next one.